on. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Good evening. It's Eric Erickson here. News 95.5 AM 750 WSB, the nation's most listened to news talk station. The phone number 404-872-0750 1-800-WSB Talk. Let's get the FBI situation out of the way. We've got issues with the FBI and what did or did not happen. And I got questions. I got real questions about the situation and what we know or we don't know, starting with the really troubling, significant allegations from Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin. Listen to Ron Johnson. He was on with Bret Baier. Listen to what he said to Bret Baier yesterday on Special Report on Fox News.
What this is all about is further evidence of corruption, more than bias, but corruption at the highest levels of the FBI and that secret society. We have an informant that's talking about a group that were holding secret meetings off-site. There's so much smoke here. There's so much suspicion.
Let's stop there. A secret society, secret meetings off-site of the Justice Department.
Correct.
And you have an informant saying that?
Yes.
Is there anything more about that?
No, we have to dig into it.
We have to dig into it, he says. Okay, so you need to know that Ron Johnson is walking that back today, saying his committee is actually focused on the Clinton emails, not on this stuff. Well, if it's that big of a deal, if you've got an informant telling you this, why are you suddenly only focusing on the Clinton emails? Here's the problem, folks. I am willing to entertain the idea that partisans within the FBI working to help Hillary Clinton decided to organize an effort to undermine Donald Trump. Now, before you say you can't believe that this is impossible, you had partisans at the Internal Revenue Service trying to attack Tea Party groups. They were never told. They were never given specific orders. They just knew they could and that they should. You got a bunch of people in the FBI. They don't like Donald Trump. They think they need to try to stop him. But there's a problem here in that all of the polling fairly consistently showed that Hillary Clinton was going to win. No one, including Donald Trump, thought he was going to win. But there's a bigger problem here. You've got House members, respected members. I played audio yesterday. John Ratcliffe and Trey Gowdy, highly respected, saying you've got 50,000 emails, you've got a lot of deletions. By the way, the FBI is saying, and this has been documented during the Obama administration era, it's not a new excuse, that a bug hit more than 10% of FBI agents' phones, wiping out a bunch of stuff, including text messages. It was a bug in Samsung phones. They're not blaming Samsung. They're saying this is a bug their IT department tried to uncover, and data was lost in the process. It wasn't malicious, according to them. Now, you can believe that or not. I'm just telling you what they're saying. But there's a bigger, more fundamental issue here, and I have tried all day to listen to both sides, and I will tell you where my mind is on this, and you can feel free to disagree one way or the other. But first, let's go check traffic with Doug Turnbull. So if Republicans really believe, this is a working theory right now, FBI agents were working to undermine the Trump administration. If Republicans really believe this, not the Trump administration, the Trump candidacy, and then trying to disrupt after the election, trying to stop him from becoming president. If they really believe this, why are they rushing to Fox News and conservative outlets for photo ops and talking points instead of going behind closed doors, forming a special committee, subpoenaing everybody, dragging them all to Capitol Hill and investigating? Take the much ballyhooed memo, the release the memo thing. This is a Devin Nunes memo. It's not an FBI memo, and that's the way it was first cast. It was a memo from the FBI. But it's not. It's a memo from a congressman. It's a memo from a congressman who's been an ardent supporter of the president and was written to put information in the light best and most favorable to the president. The Democrats say they've got a memo now that they've written to counter the Nunes memo. By the way, the House won't give the Senate Intelligence Committee the memo to see. Even though they've got authorizations, even though it's fairly pro forma, they won't do it. Release it all. Let us all see. Here's my thing. It is totally reasonable and possible to believe that FBI agents did this, and if so, we have crossed the cultural civic Rubicon of this country. There is no going back if FBI agents who are in a nonpartisan civil position designed for law enforcement decided to abuse their offices to try to stop a president. It's not a very far steps from the Praetorian Guard themselves picking out the president of the United States if you have this happening, and it is not ruthlessly exposed and stamped out. At the same time, if you've got Republican congressmen out there doing this to undermine the credibility of the FBI purely to help the president in the ongoing Robert Mueller investigation, that needs to be ruthlessly stamped out, or they themselves are undermining the basic institutions of our republic. The basic trust in society and in the institutions of government to be able to do things will be destroyed one way or the other. If this is really that big a deal, if this is really that important, if this is really that major and monumental, they need to form a select committee. They need to go behind closed doors where there are no TV cameras to play to. They get the best members of the House and the Senate together without playing to cameras, without playing to the base. Keep it all secret and figure out what the heck is going on. If the FBI is doing this, we need to know. But I got to tell you, the idea that Republicans need to rush to TV to demand a special counsel when they control the executive branch and they control the legislative branch, as opposed to going directly to the Attorney General, who is their friend and former colleague, to say you need a special counsel, boggles my mind. Why exactly do that? Why rush to the media unless you're trying to obfuscate the Mueller investigation, unless you're trying to undermine it? And why not let the Justice Department do this? Why a special counsel? Here's the thing. I actually had a member of Congress earlier today reach out to me. I asked the question, why not trust the Justice Department to investigate? And this member of Congress reached out to me and said, well, if you believe that the FBI is corrupt, if there are problems in the FBI, and they may extend into career lawyers within the Department of Justice, you need a special prosecutor. And my response to him was that if the executive branch is that infiltrated by members of the opposition trying to disrupt and disorganize and throw off the Trump administration, we don't need a special prosecutor. We need a thorough congressional investigation. The first branch of government needs to examine and inspect the second branch of government if this is the case. A special prosecutor would remain within the corrupt system, answering potentially to corrupt bureaucrats, hiring potentially the corrupt bureaucrats. The only way to do this is to let the first branch of government, the Congress, investigate the second, as it should be under the Constitution with checks and balances. But they're not doing that. They're rushing off to cameras to say this is so. By the way, did you know that there are text messages from Strzok, the guy who supposedly wanted to out Trump and supposedly helped Huma Abedin? There are text messages from him to his mistress saying that there's no there with the Mueller investigation, that there's no reason for him to even sign up to help the Mueller investigation because it wasn't going anywhere because he doesn't believe there's credible evidence. Those text messages came within only a couple of months of the Mueller investigation getting going. So somehow you've got to believe that there was a conspiracy of this guy to set up the president prior to the election in order to get a special counsel to find the evidence, and then once the special counsel was situated, instead of embedding himself within it to help steer the investigation to find the corrupt trail that he and the conspiracy created, you've got to believe he said, well, there's no there, might as well not even bother joining. There are a whole lot of things you've got to connect and disconnect and reinterpret. Trey Gowdy did that on TV. They asked him about that email chain where the guy said there's no there, why bother? And he said, well, then this is proof. He should have wanted to get on the Mueller team to try to prove that Trump was innocent. Why, if you dislike him? Why? FBI agents are allowed to have partisan positions. They're just not allowed to act on them. All of this is to say there's a serious allegation here that the FBI is undermining the President of the United States for partisan purposes. If that is true, we need answers. But if it's not true, why are members of Congress doing this other than to undermine the investigation against the president? And if so, that needs to be ruthlessly stamped out by the House Ethics Committee. Either way, we need answers. But I would submit to you, if I'm a member of Congress in the majority, and my majority also controls the executive branch, that I shouldn't need to play for cameras to drum up rage among the base. I should be able to go exactly and directly to the Attorney General and say hire a special counsel and go behind closed doors with the leadership of the House and the Senate and have closed door investigations to try to find the answers that are terribly disturbing from questions that are terribly disturbing. If you really think the FBI is rogue and is trying to undermine the president, you as a congressman have an obligation through Congress to investigate, not to punt the ball to the branch of government you think has been infiltrated by corrupt agents. It really is that simple, and yet everybody wants to complicate it.
News, analysis, and conviction. Atlanta's Evening News with Eric Erickson. Sponsored by Comcast Business on WSB.